Let's talk about budget and deficit at the federal level. Give us some of your thoughts about it and some specific proposals that you would take to Washington if you got elected to control the situation as far as the budget and deficits.
One of the great things about the Tea Party movement is it has brought an awareness to our government spending, and I even believe most Democrats, not, there's a few that don't, agree, but most Democrats agree, along with all the Republicans, that our government spending is out of control. It has to be reined in or our country is going to go under. The dollar that you have right now that you're buying products for is going to be worth about 20 cents, and the people that get hurt the most are the people on fixed income. It has to stop. I'm going to be a very strong advocate to cut government spending. The key question is, how do you cut government spending? There's two things you need to do. First, well, there's three things. First and foremost, you got to reevaluate the programs that are out there, get rid of the ones that are not being useful.
And what would those be in your
and the waste that's going on in those programs. You need to do that. Second of all, you need to evaluate which programs you can eliminate that aren't part of what the federal government should be doing. And then the third thing you need to do is you need to really work on job creation and getting the economy back on the market. And I have some ideas about that the federal government could do without not spending taxpayer dollars, but the good old free market approach. As we mentioned, the Department of Education and cutting back that program would be one. I think the EPA has gotten too large and too expansive, and not only is it a program we can cut back and save costs, but because of what they're trying to do with their regulations, they're stopping our economy from getting going full throttle again. There are certain programs out there, and you have to go by each piece by piece and see, is this what the federal government is supposed to be doing, or should this better be left for the states? And if it's better left for the states, we should do that.
Okay. Talk about a little bit more about the EPA, the environment, green energy, those things. What are some of your thoughts in that area?
Well, as I mentioned, the EPA is passing regulations. There's two things. They're passing regulations that the Congress is supposed to either pass or not pass, but when it doesn't get passed, the EPA is usurping Congress's responsibilities and implementing them under executive orders, and I don't agree with that. That needs to be stopped. Second of all, they're imposing regulations that are far more needed than necessary. There has to be a balancing act. We want to protect our environment, but we also want to help provide the opportunities for businesses in our country to succeed. If they don't, we don't have jobs. So you have to have a balancing act. At one time, there was all jobs, nothing with the environment. Now this environment's way up here and the job protection is down here. We have to come to a balancing act. Get rid of the regulations that aren't really necessary to protect the impact to the environment and allow businesses to prosper. And you need to be able to get things going quicker and faster. This goes along with OSHA and BLM and those other agencies. I mean, we need to be able to get the permits passed so people can create jobs that are available here in our country. We talked about one earlier on this show. You asked a second question. I forgot what it is. I'm sorry.
Green energy.
Green energy, yes. Thank you. I think green energy is important to have research and development projects on and try to continue to get a product, and whichever green energy you're working on, at a low enough cost that it doesn't impact our economy. But we're not there yet. We're putting the cart before the horse. We're trying to force green energy out when the cost of green energy is 3 or 4 times the cost of the other natural resources that we have. My energy plan is very simple, and it would create millions of jobs in the country. Would you take a project that would create millions of jobs in the country, create billions of dollars in tax revenue, and allow our country to be energy independent, and all of the states agree upon it? Sounds like an approach everybody should jump on, right? Well, why don't we allow the states, again, we talked about it, they want to have a certain type of production, whether it's natural gas, oil, whether it's clean coal in Ely, whether it's geothermal up north in Nevada, allow the states to develop those energy resources they have available if the people in the state want it, and sell it, whether it's to fulfill America's needs or countries outside countries. We would create jobs to build them. Now, Obama talks like that. If you heard the State of the Union address, he said, hey, we want to have an energy policy across the board, but his regulations and rules are preventing that. The stopping of the Keystone Pipeline was an example. The fact he won't allow Alaska to drill in areas that Alaskans, the majority of them want to drill, is wrong. When you start telling people in Ely that we can't allow a clean coal plant there when the people of Ely want it, there's something wrong with that. So that would be my, so at the same time you're utilizing these resources now, you develop the research and development to find clean energy products that can supplement these and then remove these when the cost gets low enough.
Well, do you believe in the government support of the green energy industry, green energy jobs, like Solyndra?
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember the name of it. There was just another one this week that, there was $1 billion or so lost, or potentially going to be lost.
There's hundreds of them out there that are coming up all the time now. Solyndra was one of the most expensive, so we know that. And I don't believe the government should be providing taxpayer dollars to private industries to support that business. What I believe we should do with our taxpayer dollars is work on the research and development of these type of energies so that the other businesses can utilize that research and development that they've had to start their businesses and develop the product. It should be for research and development, not to fund private companies. Absolutely not.
Not to fund production and manufacturing.
Yeah, not private companies. No, absolutely not.
Okay, all right. Bailouts. Bailouts leave out our last.
No bailouts. Let's make it simple. How's that?
No bailouts.
Okay. There should have been no bailouts. And there's a few reasons why. And again, you got to remember, it was President Bush and a Republican administration that started the first bailout.
Exactly.
So as a Republican, I have to sit here and explain that. And I said this when I ran for Senate. It's not just the fact that we allowed these banks to make risky investments, and we're going to pick and choose which of those banks we feel are too big to fail. Lehman Brothers was okay to fail, or Merrill Lynch, vice versa.
I think it was Lehman Brothers failed.
Yeah. And then we're gonna pick and choose which ones we want to save or not save. What does that say to private businesses? Go out and take risk. If you don't succeed and you're in favor of in favor of that administration, they're going to bail you out and save you. You knew as soon as they did the first bailout there was going to be another one. So what did we have? We had the bailout in the auto industry. Why couldn't the auto industry go into Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which is restructuring of their businesses, like they've done in the past, like most of our casinos have done, restructure their debt and their product and business, and then come back stronger than ever? And it wouldn't have took any taxpayer dollars. I am so tired of hearing the Democrats say, well, we saved the auto industry. Wasn't that a great bailout? Well, no. It could have been saved through the bankruptcy laws we have now, and you wouldn't use taxpayer dollars. And once you start picking and choosing industries, I want to save the car industry because they have a lot of union workers, and those union workers are going to vote for President Obama. Mm-hmm. Then what happens to the hospitality and hotel business that we have here in Nevada that we needed help on? We should have help. And you go down the board, and pretty soon it's a handout to every business. It was wrong at the time, the first bailout, and it certainly should never happen again.
Okay. Okay, take a few minutes, wrap it up,
Sure.
Kind of that last pitch in there.
I just want to say one thing for the residents here in the Mesquite area and over to the areas that are not so much in the urban Clark County area. You're going to have an opportunity in this election to make a big difference in who's elected. It could either be the Democrat, Stephen Horsford, and he's going to articulate his policies, and as the campaign goes, please listen to what he has to say. He is a more pro-government, large government. The government can best solve society's problems, or you can support me, who is a free market. Hey, there's ways the government should be involved in, but it should be through the free market, capitalist society, what's made our country the greatest country in the history of society, and I will fight for those principles. I understand the needs of rural Nevadans. I've worked very hard to not only campaign out here, but to visit and create relationships and understand the issues. And I'll be here when I'm in Congress. I will be back here when I'm in office, visiting, listening, and understanding the needs of the people. I hope when you go to the polls that you will consider voting for me. I'm Danny Tarkanian. My website is DannyTarkanian.com.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Danny. We appreciate you coming up to Mesquite, visiting with Mesquite Citizen Journal. And this is Barbara Ellistad saying thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Barbara. This is a great opportunity for all of us candidates.